I wasn't even sure if I was going to go see this, but I actually enjoyed myself. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the new animated Spider-Man movie that I was not sure I was actually going to go see. I am not the biggest Spider-Man fan, and it's not because I don't care. That's kind of it. It's just because I never really got into, I don't know comic books. That's the thing. I say this in pretty much any superhero movie or comic book related movie review that I do. I don't know anything about the comic books, the backstory, any of that. I just know what I have seen in previous movies or from what people have told me. So going into this, I did not know much about Miles Morales. I think I knew zero about him, pretty much, besides that he is the only Black Spider-Man. I wasn't even sure if I really wanted to go see this. I had seen a trailer for it a way long time back when they released The Last Jedi in theaters, and I didn't watch any really other trailers after that because it just didn't seem like my kind of thing, because I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan. I have seen the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, and most recently watched the Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. You can check out the highlights of the podcast up there, the episode where we talked about Spider-Man 2. And then I've seen the first Amazing Spider-Man, not the second Amazing Spider-Man, and of course Spider-Man Homecoming, which is probably my favorite Spider-Man movie. So this one I was just I don't know if I really want to see it. And then when I went to go see Venom, they played the trailer before Venom, and I did not like Venom at all. So that was the trailer for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was probably the highlight of that experience for me. So it kind of changed my mind. I think the thing that really changed my mind though when seeing that trailer was seeing or hearing John Mulaney's voice, I guess is what the better term for that would be. It would be hearing John Mulaney's voice as Spider-Ham. It just made me so excited. I am a big fan of John Mulaney. His stand-up, Oh Hello, is probably one of my favorite Netflix specials, but I was very excited for John Mulaney, and I am also a big Jake Johnson fan, especially from New Girl. I absolutely love him, so I was excited to see him, and I really loved the art style of the animation. It just looks so beautiful. So I was just you know what? I will take my chances on probably knowing nothing going into this, except for maybe Peter Parker's backstory, because the story of it seemed really interesting to me as well. A bunch of different Spider-Man and Spider-Women kind of collide in one universe and have to save their world, or worlds, I guess you could say, or you probably should say. And it seemed like a really fun story to me. So when I sat down and watched this, I absolutely had a blast. I went to see it in Real D 3D, which this is where I have some issues with this movie, but it also might be a couple of things put together. So you can take or leave these as you will. I don't think they really have any bearing on my final thoughts on the movie. This is just an issue, I think, with the Real D plus the place I was seated, and the fact that I do get a little motion sickness. So if you do get motion sickness and you go to a screening that is mostly sold out, or you only have the front row, listen up. I got tickets for this probably the week after they went on sale. I got digital tickets for the theater that was really close to my office because it was a really early screening and I could get there, go watch the movie, come back here, and do a really quick review and have it done. But then I was you know what? I want to go see this in Dolby. I want to get that surround sound, feel the vibrations, because I just wanted to feel that. But I also wanted to see it because this movie looked so amazing. So I got Dolby tickets for the same theater, but later in the day, so I could come into work later, go to the movie. But then I realized we were moving offices, so I'd be leaving work earlier. Plus, I had a giant bookcase to lug back, and I switched my tickets yet again this morning to a later screening at a different theater that's closer to my apartment. and there were only front row seats, well, the front 2 row seats left, and I don't like sitting in the middle because it's a space issue, but I wanted to sit on the very far end, which probably is one of the problems. That's problem number one, is that I was sitting in one of the front rows on the very end. So the screen was a little bit warped, and normally I don't have an issue with that, but I think with the RealD 3D and the fact that it was just kind of warped a little bit, and a lot of the motion in this, just, it gave me a little bit of motion sickness. Like if you have ever been on any of the really 3D motion heavy rides at any of the Universal theme parks, it is very much like that for me. Probably should have taken like a Dramamine or something before going into this movie, but I don't think that overall has an effect on my final score for this movie, my final thoughts on this movie. So I will get into all the stuff I really did enjoy about this. Pretty much everything. I absolutely loved everything about this movie. The only downside to it for me is the fact that it is just basically the hero's journey, but there are some fun parts that they put in here to kind of spice it up a little bit. So every time you see a new Peter Parker or a new version of Spider-Man, they intro them in very fun ways. It's the same way each time, but it is very specific to each character, and it's so cool. The stylistic choices that they made, or the stylistic choice really overall that they made, is to make this feel very much like the comic book, and they did that very well. You get that dot texture and the very harsh lines that you see in a comic book. I know people are going to say, you don't read comic books, how do you know? I know what the art in comic books looks like, okay? Slow your roll. But I absolutely love the art style of this, and they even pulled speech bubbles and text blocks from comic books into the movie, which is really cool and a really great creative touch. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Phil Lord and Chris Miller had a big hand in this. Phil Lord was one of the writers. He did the screenplay on this, and both him and Chris Miller were producers, and they did the Lego movie, which I absolutely adore the Lego movie, so I didn't really realize that they were a part of this going into this until I saw them in the opening credits, and I saw their names. I got really excited, and I was like, yep, okay, I already know I'm going to love this, so there we go. That's the main reason why I love this. So aside from the story, which has nothing to do with the art, the story is really great. Again, the story is very much the hero's journey, like pretty much any origin story for any superhero movie. But I think this is still a really great origin story for Miles Morales, the Spider-Man, because it starts out, you get a very abbreviated version of Peter Parker's origin story, which is really great. They just pay homage to a lot of the actual Spider-Man stuff, the original Spider-Man cartoon, all of the movies. From the references that I could pull out and understand, I really enjoyed and laughed at those jokes, and there were some I know that just went straight over my head because there were things that were happening on screen that people were laughing at. I was like, okay, I don't necessarily get it, but people find this funny, and I know it probably has to do with some Spider-Man thing in pop culture, so very well done on that part. But all that stuff was great. And then after all of that, to top it all off, the voice cast for this. Like I already said, the trailers sold me on this for John Mulaney and Nick Cage and Jake Johnson alone, and they did not disappoint. Jake Johnson and John Mulaney were probably my favorites. John Mulaney does not have as big of a role as I thought he would have, which is fine. He's Spider-Ham. He doesn't have like a huge role, but everything he did do was really great. Nick Cage did not have a big role either, but what he did do, Spider-Man Noir, I think is that character's name, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was perfect for Nick Cage. It was just, if Nick Cage was a cartoon character, I think this is what he would be. I absolutely loved it. Haley Steinfeld, my second Haley Steinfeld review this week. Yeah, because I did Bumblebee on Tuesday. Yes. I can't remember my video schedule. Too much this week, a video every day. But she is so great. I like her in pretty much anything I've seen her in. So she did not disappoint either. The guy who voiced Miles Morales, I don't know off the top of my head who it was. he was really great too. And Mahershala Ali as his Uncle Aaron was great because Mahershala Ali is just amazing. But yeah, this movie is good and I really, really enjoyed it and I'm really happy that I went to go see it. So I think that might be everything. I can't think straight right now at the moment. So I think that's going to be everything for now. Rewatch score for this, even though I really, really enjoyed myself, I probably don't know how often I would rewatch this again. This movie is definitely like a 4.5 out of 5 for me, 4 or 4.5. I absolutely loved it. I had so much fun. But rewatchability score for me, I don't know. I don't know if I would actually buy this and add it to my collection. Maybe I would rent it if I just really wanted a really great Spider-Man animated movie. Yeah, so actually I think I would just give this a Redbox because I would watch it again, but I probably wouldn't purchase it. I wouldn't spend the 20-something dollars it would be to buy the Blu-ray to add it to my collection. So, Redbox. But let me know your thoughts on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in the comments down below. Let me know your favorite Spider-Man movie, what your favorite version of a Spider-Man is, and just, let me know in the comments down below. And also, I forgot to mention that I did shed a couple tears during the Stan Lee cameo. It was just so heartbreaking to see him up there. And everything that he said, even just, oh man, I'm going to start tearing up. I don't want to spoil the Stan Lee cameo for anybody who hasn't seen this movie yet, if you're just watching this to get my thoughts before going into this, because, again, I always like to do spoiler-free stuff, but Stan Lee's cameo. But anyways, just, let me know in the comments down below if you've seen this, your thoughts, or if you haven't seen it, your favorite Spider-Man movie. But let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, truly do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know if you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking about things, movies, TV shows, filmmaking, film history, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye!